Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is Gray.
And this is Kay with a mouthful of cake.
Kay with a mouthful of cake, that's right. We were both eating a little bit of birthday cake because Kay's daughter just turned 3 on the weekend. We had a wonderful time here at the Twoonie Bin headquarters, but that has come and gone, and now we have another week. So once again, welcome to the Twoonie Bin. This is Gray speaking, and we've got a lot coming your way today, and I mean a lot. We normally do about 6 topics. We're going a little heavier this week, and you're still going to like it. We're going to start off with the incident that happened in Orlando, Florida this past week. The mass shooting, 50 people dead, 53 injured as of last count. And it's shocking, it's terrible, it's resulted in the 15th time that President Barack Obama has had to go to the nation to talk about gun violence and his frustration about how we can't do anything about it. Kay, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I would like to say this is what happens when we are a little bit late because of our busy schedules. We have 8 topics to cover today, but yeah, it was very unfortunate of what happened in that Orlando nightclub there. So we will definitely get more on that in just a little bit. Following that, though, we are going to be talking about Crocs and how they are not good for your health.
For the record, Kay does not wear Crocs, and she is not talking about them because she likes them. She's talking about them to do you all a service. We're also going to be talking a little bit about how one of the largest retailers in Canada is trying to prevent you from paying them for purchasing goods. We're going to talk about the CRTC and some viewpoints which aren't necessarily new but are coming up again, and how it's not necessarily relevant anymore. We're going to talk about a man in Regina, Saskatchewan, who has gotten a ticket for helping a homeless man who wasn't really a homeless man. We're going to talk about one man from Laval, Quebec, whose post on the internet made everyone outside of London, Ontario realize that they're all oblivious to the writing on the cop cars in town.
We are then going to be talking about a Western University's success of the first human trials for the HIV vaccine. And of course, we have the final report of the Ontario climate change laws. So let's get started with Orlando there, Gray.
Orlando, we all know the details. It hits close to home for me because one of my best friends is lesbian. She could have easily been the victim of this attack, and I don't understand it. Why do you need to hate people so much? It doesn't make any sense at all. And I know my views are being echoed by a lot of people out there. And I just want to say our thoughts and prayers are with the victims, the families, and anybody who feels that their ability to be who they are and love who they want to love, or love whoever they love, just period, that their beliefs are shaken. It's not right.
Especially when a lot of the injured and the dead have gone out to a nightclub to enjoy themselves. And it's a gay nightclub at that, so it's not like they were going to just a regular nightclub and then hitting up on straight people. No. They felt safe here, and now that right has been taken away from them of their feeling of safety. As well as I would like to say, because Florida does have a law on gay men donating blood, that if you had sex within the past year, if you are a gay male, you're not allowed to donate blood. And there is a lot of controversy with this, but I do see the point of this. It's because HIV confirmation can take up to a year. So they want to make sure that any blood given is clean blood and it's not going to be HIV infected and all of a sudden you're infecting somebody else.
Something that bugs me, however, is, and this has been going around the internet, there's been memes posted, and these memes are absolutely right, how virtually anybody can get an automatic gun, like a really, really powerful automatic weapon. But in America, you cannot get a Kinder Egg. Kinder Surprise eggs are banned in the United States because they might kill children. But then we have these really unnecessary weapons, and they cannot ban them. and they're used in school massacres. But that's okay. I don't get it. I really don't.
Talking about memes there as well, I also seen this one meme where it said that we should treat people buying guns the same as we treat women getting abortions. They have to watch a video, they got to get a doctor's note.
Oh, I like that. I really
They got
like that.
to travel far distances and then stay overnight in a town they've never been to before, because abortion clinics in the States are very rare to come by.
Mm-hmm.
So they were talking about how that should be the same for buying a gun, how you would have to narrow them down so there's only a few select stores you would have to go to, how you should be able to stay the night, watch a video, get informed of the decision you're about to make before you make it, which I kind of agree with. Why are abortions treated so differently than buying a gun when buying a gun kills more than abortions?
Not only that, but abortions, in Canada, you don't think twice about it unless you live in Prince Edward Island, in which case you don't really have access to that until next year. But this is just so simple. In Canada, we don't have mass school shootings, and we have Kinder eggs. We're fine. It's wonderful.
I did see this one statistic that said in the past 20 years, Canada had 8 mass shootings, and since Monday, the U.S. already had 7.
I believe that would have been from last Monday, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I saw that. I can't verify that meme. I didn't research it, but it sounds about right. And that's the way the U.S. is headed. They seem quite happy with it. For as upset as they are, they seem quite happy with it. I'm just glad it doesn't happen here very often. Okay, what else we got?
So we are going to get started on Crocs then, to kind of lighten the mood after that very, very heavy topic. So, Crocs. I did a little survey there. I posted it to our Facebook page and our Twitter page. And I asked everybody, do you wear Crocs? And if so, why? Or if not, why? And a lot of people said, hell no, they look ugly as hell.
They are ugly as hell. Next.
But I did get a couple saying they are so comfortable. I just love wearing them. Now, Crocs were released back in 2002. And they are literally rubber clogs for anybody that doesn't know who Crocs are. And ever since then, there has been 300 million pairs in 900 countries sold. So, I mean 90 countries, not 900.
We're not quite at 900 countries worldwide yet, but...
Yeah, so 90 country, 300 million
Can I just
pairs.
add that is alarming?
It is very alarming.
Yes.
But they're so cheap to make, I can see why they have them in some countries.
Alarming nonetheless.
So, of course, the reason why they are so popular is because of their comfort, their rubberness, and their floatability, as well as the fact that if you were to get them dirty, they're easy to wash. You just have to spray them with water, and poof, they're clean again. So you don't have to worry about stepping on dog poo and ruining your shoe. Your toes might be affected, just to say, but at least your shoes are okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there has been a study come out with a bunch of doctors there saying about how Crocs are not suitable for all-day use. So if you were to wear Crocs, or if you do wear Crocs, please try to limit the time that you are wearing these Crocs.
Please try not to wear these Crocs.
Well, if you wear them as slippers, I mean, that's understandable.
As long as you don't wear them in public, I'm okay with it.
So the reason why they are not to be used for all-day use is because they do not offer any kind of arch support. So you're putting a lot of weight then onto your heel. We have arches there for a reason, and if we don't have adequate arch support, then you can get some really bad toe deformities and stuff like that. As well as the heel is unstable, toes tend to grip, and that can lead to tendinitis. You also are more prone to get corns and calluses. And of course, this is the same with any kind of flip-flops or backless shoes there as well, as heels are the heels not secured.
I was just about to say that there's a lot of women's footwear that doesn't really do anything for the woman's foot.
No, but I mean, at least with those, you do have the option to put it in. Well, not with flip-flops, but if you were to wear high heels and that, they do have the option to have it so it's more stable for your feet. But I mean, these are pretty bad, especially because of the fact that they're rubber.
Mm-hmm.
They're easy. It's more easier for you to get like tendonitis and that in your toes and stuff because of the fact that your feet are going to constantly slip, especially if your feet are sweating.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are only two types of patients that can benefit from wearing Crocs, and those are patients who have a very high arch or those who suffer from excessive edema of their legs and ankle. So those people can benefit very well from wearing Crocs, but other than that, I mean, you shouldn't be really wearing them, especially if you're wearing them for 8 to 10 hours a day. I mean, if you decide to take them out to the beach, for instance, or wear them out in your backyard or even as slippers around the house, so be it. Just don't wear them constantly all the time.
Not at all. Now, I've already made my opinion known on Crocs. It's a well-known opinion. But I will say this summer, you're probably going to be tempted to wear a lot of shoes that will not do anything good for your feet. So when you're out, as much as it pains me to say it sometimes, don't go out for a long walk in just sandals. Don't go out on a long walk in anything that's not got the support you need. You will be wishing later on in life that you weren't wearing these shoes all the time. And that's all I can really say. Personally, I'm wearing sneakers more this summer than I would in the past. There's a reason for that. And it's because I want my feet to stay healthy. Like, I've walked in sandals, I know exactly what it's like. It's not terrible, but your toes do grip, and you will eventually have to see the podiatrist about that. So that's my opinion on that. Okay, we have another topic coming up now, and this is...
So, Gray, why don't you tell us about Walmart and their pickiness?
Before we get to Walmart and their pickiness, so Walmart in the next few weeks is going to stop accepting Visa cards as payment. According to the statistics, that's 6 in 10 customers have a Visa card, and they're not going to be able to use them at Walmart. Now, Walmart is saying that they're not accepting them because of the merchant fees being too high. Now, these merchant fees are capped at about 2% of sales, and that can add up pretty quickly in a company that does approximately $20 to $25 billion every year. Now, Walmart has a MasterCard, and the thought is, based on what I've seen online, the thought is that because they're offering that card, they want people to use that card and then save the merchant fees. Like, Walmart saves the merchant fees that way. So all I know is this would not have happened, and this is my personal opinion now, but this would not be happening if Target was still around. Back when Target was around, yes, they had their problems. Yes, they were working diligently to solve them, but no, a lot of the discount shopping crowd avoided Target because they were a few cents higher on every dollar in their minds. They thought everything was more expensive. They said they would never go back. Target listened, Target pulled the plug, and that is the one thing that Canadians weren't expecting, was how much they took competition in the discount field for granted. So now, Walmart's saying, nope, we're not taking Visa anymore. That's okay, because they don't have any competitors. They can do what they want. When Walmart announced they were going to charge for plastic bags, and I knew this would happen, as soon as they announced it, I went to their Facebook page, just for shits and giggles, because I knew there was going to be a whole ton of people posting about how awful it was that Walmart was now charging 5 cents for a plastic bag. And they were there. Were they ever? So, people, my only suggestion now is we've cut it down to Walmart for mass merchandising. Let's start shopping locally, and let's start paying cash. Before you go to Walmart for something, maybe your neighborhood drugstore has it. Your independently owned drugstore. Maybe an independently owned general store nearby has it. Maybe a Canadian-owned chain has it. There's a lot of different options out there. That's all I can say about it. I'm not saying I'll never shop at Walmart again, because Walmart has a very good selection of a lot of things that I can use. But Walmart is doing this because they can. And now we can do what we want to because we can as well. Okay? What's up with the CRTC?
So, taking a look at the CRTC here, Conservative Party leader candidate Maxime Bernier is asking that we start to phase out the CRTC because of the fact that he plans on deregulating the industry. Now, I would like to say this because I used to work for a cell phone company here in Canada. I won't say which. But the CRTC, yes, there are definitely some negatives that come along with that. But there's also some positives. They've reduced from having 3-year contracts down to 2 years, so we can start upgrading our phones earlier. They start regulating prices, so not one company can have extremely high prices and another one extremely cheap prices. They also started regulating which carriers can start coming into Canada, so then that way you don't have those super high versus super cheap prices. They regulate everything as far as your data goes. Like back in the day, whenever you used a lot of data, you wouldn't be warned about your data usage. Now CRTC has put forth that yes, at 90% you must be warned. You must be warned at $50 over. So at least you are getting these warnings, and there are caps on how much providers can charge, and that's all due to the CRTC's role. Now, what Bernier here wishes to do, just give me one moment here. He is ruling that the major internet service providers must sell space on their high-speed infrastructure to smaller rivals at wholesale prices.
I think that's a good thing, though. I don't get it. That is, quite honestly, this is pretty common in both the United States and Canada, and I can understand why the major telecoms are saying they shouldn't. It's just because they want to get the return on investment for upgrading their networks. But at the same time, when you only have 2 providers more or less doing this, and they can charge whatever they want, and they can take broadband internet and make something which we're starting to consider more as a right in Canada, as a privilege, as opposed to a privilege, it's something that we have to consider. That this is something that should be done. It has to be done, especially on the legacy networks, the old cable and phone networks.
Now he is saying that there should be that the Competition Bureau should be taking on more responsibility as far as the roles of CRTC are being handled there as well. So then that way we can have more competitors come into Canada. As far as that, right now his main stance is the home internet, but I mean this will shortly change for TV if this was to happen, and cell phones there as well, since CRTC does take care of all So I mean, yes, there's definitely some downsides to the CRTC like this, but there's also some upsides to the CRTC as well. I mean, it's going to be a back and forth thing. If anything, I think they should re-regulate what the CRTC regulations are, go through each one, make sure that they're still standard today, and what we can do to help fix the industries. I do agree that we should have more choices here as far as cell phones and like home internet and television goes, but I also feel like there's the prices that we are currently paying are too high, and maybe the CRTC needs to take a look into that there as well. And maybe it should be from province to province, because each province has a different living wage and different housing rates. So I think it should go from province to province there as well.
CRTC has some rules I personally don't agree with that, if abolished, would allow conventional television stations, which are in many cases saying they need more revenue, to get more revenue. So again, going back to the United States, and this is something that's common over there, and over here you might not know about it, but it's called, I don't even remember what it's called anymore. It's it's where you can get more than one channel, or more than one signal on a channel. So for instance, you could watch the local CTV station, but because the CRTC is saying no, the CTV station cannot, they're called subchannels, that's what they are, subchannels. You cannot broadcast a subchannel with just weather, and you cannot broadcast a subchannel with just old TV shows. You're only allowed one signal. And if there is a ruling saying that TV stations could do that, then they could advertise on 3 channels instead of just 1, and that would help them a lot. Especially considering they may not have to pay very much extra for the content, especially if they own it from their back catalogs. That would be wonderful. It would help them a lot. But the CRTC is saying absolutely not. You ever seen a homeless person on the side of the road and felt like giving them money? I've seen them. I haven't felt like giving them money, but a man in Regina, Saskatchewan did give them money. $3. But the guy at the side of the road wasn't asking for money. He wasn't even holding up a sign saying he needed money. He was a police officer, watching to see if you had an unbuckled seatbelt or if you were talking on your phone. And this man, because he felt instantly sorry for the homeless man, unbuckled his seatbelt to reach into his pocket to give $3 to him. And because he had an unbuckled seatbelt, the cop radioed to his partners, who pulled him over and gave him a $175 ticket. Okay, what do you think of this?
I think it is absolutely ridiculous, but I do see the cop's point of view. I mean, he was in a car that was running, so at any moment he could have just driven away and forgot about his seatbelt.
And on a public road, no less.
And yeah, and he was on a public road. It wasn't like it was on private property or in a parking lot.
And who's to say he couldn't have been rammed from behind either?
Exactly. And I mean, I do understand why people would say this is ridiculous. He was just trying to get money out of his pocket. But at the same time, in the circumstances that were surrounding him, he could have been more careful and just left that seatbelt on. If anything, just loosen it up a bit so he could have accessed his pocket.
We live and we learn, I guess, but I personally have a rule when it comes to giving money to the homeless people. I don't do it unless they give me some really creative reason for why they need the money. The only one I've ever had that have worked for me was spare some change to keep a mail order bride in Canada. Yep, I gave them a quarter just for the creativity. I felt that was worth it. It was a good chuckle.
See, and then when I come across homeless people, I normally just buy them a burger from McDonald's or something. I prefer to give them food over money.
But no one buys me a burger just for walking down the street, Kay.
Are you asking people for money because you're so poor?
No, but how do you know that they're so poor that they need a burger? They might just be pulling an act. There's one person in our neck of the woods here where our studios are. She fakes it all the time.
I know exactly who you're talking about. She fakes that she has an injury and that she needs money and that, and then you'll see her 5 minutes later walking without any problems, being extremely happy. She does live on the streets though, so she is technically homeless, because I have seen her live on the streets by where I used to work. But I mean, yeah, personally though, if you're there asking for money, I'm assuming you're so poor you're trying to buy food. I'm just going to give you freaking food. I'll cut out the middleman. I'd rather see you eat. I don't care if it's just a big act or not. I'd rather see you eat something than take money and use it for whatever you want.
And what if they take your burger and throw it in the garbage because they don't want burgers, they want crack?
Well, then it sucks to be them, because they could have sold that burger if they were really that desperate.
I wouldn't buy a burger from a crack addict. I don't know about you, but that's just me. I want your thoughts on this, people. This seems to be a hot topic, so why don't you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/TwonieBin, that's TWOONIEBIN, as well as our Twitter @TwonieBin. We can talk about this for a lot longer, But we're going to move on to our next topic. And this topic takes us to London, Ontario, where a man from Laval, Quebec was visiting and saw a police car. Now, not all the police cars have this in London, but many of them have many different languages written on them that say the word police. Now, this man saw some writing, and it wasn't regular writing. It looked Arabic to him, so he took a photo of it and posted it to Facebook, saying, this was shortly after we started settling 25,000 Syrian refugees, but he started saying on this Facebook post about how this is the Islamization of Canada. It starts now, it's just going to get worse, blah, 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 blah. This Facebook post gets shared by people who don't know any better. It ends up getting posted to a American conservative blog, and from there, all these Americans start calling this police office in London, Ontario about these decals, saying police in what they perceive as Arabic writing. And this is the stupid thing. It's because they put these decals on back in 2009, and they say many different languages, including the one which there was a photo taken of, which spells out police in Persian as opposed to Arabic. And the man who made the original post from Quebec was upset that police was not written in French on the cruiser, even though police is the same in English and French. So yes, this is what happens when we let stupid people make posts online. I can only say it never enough times. It's just, people are stupid, people need to think, people need to do their research, and now we have, instead of a cop or a police officer trying to solve crimes, they're listening to Americans badgering them about writing on a police car. What do you think, Kay?
No, I find this absolutely ridiculous. I mean, with a lot of Syrian refugees and Middle Eastern refugees coming into Canada, I think having it in Arabic on our police cars is the perfect thing to do until those people can learn how to speak English and how to read English.
Not only that, but since well before then too, I mean, they even have like Spanish on these cars, and they have Italian and all these other languages. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I mean, we do get a lot of tourists coming into Canada there as well. So, I mean, I find nothing wrong with this. I appreciate that they have gone through the effort to do this. And, I mean, if anything, it's just going to help people be a little bit safer.
Absolutely. Now, I really am not impressed with this person who posted it. I'm really not impressed with the American blogger who posted it. But I think it's time we just started badgering them about their lack of health care that we just suddenly find out about as a nation. So, if you feel like posting to any conservative blogs about how dare you leave people dying in the streets, this would be the time, because that's what they do. They'll deny it to the death, but that's what they do. Okay, we have some exciting news now.
So, the first phase of the clinical human trials for the HIV vaccine has been a success. So this is huge in the medicine world there, as well as anybody that's infected with HIV, and even us that are not infected by HIV. I mean, this is a huge step to helping control this very, very versatile virus. Now, the vaccine is currently known as SAV001H, and they are looking at the volunteers are between the ages of 18 and 50 years, and they also had a placebo group going in at the same time, where they were just given saline water, not the actual vaccine, just to make sure that what they were seeing was true. If you're doing any kind of clinical study, you always want to make sure you have a placebo group to compare your actual group to. So now, what exactly happened in phase 1 here is that after receiving the vaccination, volunteers for the human trials were then to visit the test sites at weeks 4, 6, 12, 18, 26, and 52. Now, with that being said too, I should just state that these people that have volunteered their time have already been infected by HIV. They're just asymptomatic. So they either just got it when they were asking for volunteers, or they had it for a while and it just hasn't shown up yet. So at these visits at 4, 6, 12, 18, 26, and 52 weeks, they had general physical examinations, as well as they did analysis of clinical chemistry, hematology, which is your blood, and urinalysis. And so far, the results have proven to be able to do well. Now, in phase 2, they are going to be starting to measure immune response to see, yes, they continue to be asymptomatic, but are their immune response actually helping fight off the disease? Is this really making a difference as far as that goes there as well? Now, with this vaccine, it is inserted into the muscle, so either through the butt or the leg there, or through your thigh. So it's going to be a little bit of painful if you were curious.
Yeah.
This is being done at Western University there as well in London, Ontario. And yeah, so currently they're looking at getting started there on phase 2. And then phase 3 looks like if you're able to get an immunity towards the HIV virus. So of course, they plan on doing this for year studies for each phase. So currently they're entering phase 2. So it's going to be another year before they start phase 3. And then another year before we get the final results. Then they're going to need some time to analyze all those kinds of results. And then hopefully shortly after, so in a couple years there, we'll start having a vaccine. And just so you understand how deadly this vaccine is.
How deadly the vaccine is, or how deadly the virus is?
Sorry, how deadly the virus is, I should say. I'm so sorry.
Deadly vaccine, I'm not getting that.
So the vaccine is not deadly. I take that back. Anti-vaxxers, don't start on me. So the vaccine is effective. Nobody has died. But with HIV, 34 million people worldwide every year are affected by this. And then over the last 3 decades, it has claimed more than 25 million lives. Now, of course, we don't know exact numbers because HIV does attack in those famished African countries there as well, where getting an exact number is really, really difficult. But these are so far the recorded numbers. So, of course, we need to add a couple million or so there in order to get everybody else who is affected, doesn't know they're affected, or has died, and then they just, yeah. I mean, this is a huge, huge thing. I mean, with vaccines here, we were able to get rid of polio, we're able to get rid of the measles. Maybe HIV is going to be next in our lifetime there.
I hope so. That would save so many lives. It would save a lot of grief. It would, there's no other words to describe it. It would just be wonderful. It would just be absolutely wonderful.
And I should say for this as well, this vaccine is not only being tested here in Canada, but it is also being tested in the US, the EU, China, India, and South Korea. So I mean, a lot of other countries are doing the exact same tests with the exact same vaccine there. So I mean, by the time that this vaccine becomes public, at least we know that enough research has gone into it that we know the ins and outs of this vaccine.
I'm just thinking of the placebo group, though. They're taking that in the butt, and they're getting nothing out of it at all. That must be a pain. I'd be offended.
I mean, it's reality of any kind of clinical testing. You do need to have a group that thinks that they're getting it, just because sometimes the mind is a very powerful tool.
It is, absolutely. But still, I'd be pretty pissed. Okay, now we're doing an update to a story we brought you a couple of weeks ago about, in Ontario, the climate change agenda has really taken off, and there were some suggestions that they would replace natural gas heating in the entire province. That has been confirmed to not be the case, thankfully. What they're doing instead is a pretty comprehensive list of things to get done to reduce our carbon impact. I'll read to you some of the items from the list. There was over 80 points, 27 points, I believe, on 85 pages. Among them, increasing availability of low carbon fuels, encouraging industry to switch from fossil fuels to propane or natural gas, which is still technically fossil fuel, but not nearly as bad. Newly built homes need to be net zero on their carbon footprints. Garage charging stations will be mandatory for all new homes, so you can charge an electric vehicle, as well as them having incentives to put charging stations up to $1,000 into existing homes. Subsidized car charging, so when you do plug in your car, you will be paying for it, and that will be taking effect next year. Actually, for 4 years, you won't have to pay for the electricity used to charge your car. There will be incentives to replace old wood stoves with newer and more efficient ones. There will be incentives to get Nest or Ecobee learning thermostats so that your heating will not be unnecessarily high. Existing rebates for electric vehicles will be expanded. You will be able to get a rebate to get your gas guzzler off the road, and you can buy a new or used hybrid or electric vehicle. HST might be coming off of electric vehicles. We don't know yet. They're negotiating that with the government. Although with Justin Trudeau in power, we're feeling it's got a fighting chance. All of this is going to be paid for by the auction for carbon credits under the cap and trade system, and the 4.3 cent a liter gas tax increase that's taking effect. As well, part of their plan is to plant 50 million trees by 2025, including 2 million of them in cities. Speaking of cities, their official plans must now include bicycle paths, or else they won't get approved. And this has been described as a plan with a big basket of carrots and no sticks. And I have to say, I like it, because it does offer something concrete. It does offer leadership. And we have to do something as a society, and this is a wonderful first step. Well, maybe not even the first step. This is the third and fourth and a fifth step. This is quite good planning, if you ask me. There's going to be a lot of people who disagree with that, but I think that we are well on our way to making a dent in our carbon emissions.
Now, with the amount of stuff that's in that list there, I say that it was more than just Kathleen Wynne that helped put it together.
I would say so too. Absolutely.
So, I mean, it sounds like a great step towards having a greener climate, about helping reserve the planet as it is for generations to come. I know personally in our city where we are from, if you go to the malls and that, they have car charging stations there for your electric cars. So I mean, there's tons of places in that for your green cars, I guess they're called.
Electric vehicles, yep.
Yeah, electric vehicles. I just feel like maybe solar panels should be a step in first, but maybe that will be part of the next one. Maybe a lot more greener energy coming. But I mean, this is a great step. We have a ton to achieve by doing all this, and I mean, I love the fact that they plan on planting these 50 million trees.
I think it's more like 25 million trees, but we can definitely benefit from 25 million trees, each taking 150 kilograms of carbon out of the air each and every year, which isn't small change. That's going to help a lot. Now, okay, we're running a little long on today's episode. Typically, we like to stop in around 35 minutes. This one's going at around 43, so I think it might be the right time to give off some closing remarks.
So please leave your comments and your feedback on any of the topics that we discussed today. We would love to hear them. We would love to get some healthy debating going on there as well. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/TwoonieBin, TWOONIEBIN, as well as follow us on Twitter at TwoonieBin.
Do not forget, we have a YouTube channel which you can subscribe to, and don't forget to like and share this recording, this video, whatever we end up making it into. Don't forget to share our little web extras that we do every so often. There's a couple online and another one coming up this week. We also have a new feature. Kay tested it last week. It worked out quite well. And it's going to happen on Thursday night, and she's doing this on her own. It's Historical Thursdays, and it's going to be at what time?
It's going to be at 9 Eastern.
9 p.m. Eastern, and this week it's going to be focusing on Nova Scotia. There's going to be a lot to talk about there. Thanks for tuning in once again to the Toonie Bin. This has been Gray.
And this is Kay, and remember guys, stay tuning.